Good afternoon. This is Rich Steigner from beautiful downtown Pawleys Island coming back to you to do our weekly seminar. We started last week and we're trying to each week zero in on a topic that may be appropriate. Now that we're getting ready for the 4th of July and we're in the heat of summer, there are a lot of issues with hearing aids and hearing loss that we thought we would talk to you about. Really, 4 things we're going to talk today are hearing aids and using your hearing aids when sounds are loud, which could happen quite frequently when we go to 4th of July fireworks. When is sound harmful to our ears, and what should we do to be aware of that, how to protect our ears even if we are not wearing hearing aids? The third thing is, I get this question a lot of times, what is a decibel? And I'll explain that today. And then the fourth thing, because we're in the heat of summertime and in South Carolina we have lots and lots of moisture, how do we protect our hearing aids against moisture and water damage? So the first thing we'll talk about is, what is a decibel? Whenever I test a patient's hearing, we look at really 2 things: pitch and loudness. Now, pitch is the frequency. Our hearing system is incredible, and we hear from 20 hertz all the way to 20,000 hertz. But what's even more interesting is speech, whether it's English or German or French, falls between about 125 hertz to 8,000 hertz. Now that's pitches. That's the pitch, just like on a piano. Low keys are low pitches, high keys are high pitches. Now each one of those pitches can have a loudness level that can be very soft or very loud. Like my voice is very low frequency, so I can talk very soft, or I can talk very loud. So that's the decibel of that we look at. And so when we do a hearing test, we look at those 2 things, pitch and loudness. Now the reason why I bring that up here are the sounds that we are exposed to in our world. Years and years ago, when we were more of an agricultural society, we didn't have as much noise. But since we went through the Industrial Revolution, and we now in America and all over the world have a myriad of places that create sounds and a myriad of things that create sounds, we measure that loudness by measuring its decibel. So for instance, rustling of leaves is a very low decibel, very, very soft. A lawnmower, for instance, is as high as 100 decibels. An airplane, 110 to 115. A piano, 80 decibels. Normal conversational speech is at 50 decibels. Again, that's a loudness level, but speech and all of these things have a pitch. You know, an airplane is generally a higher pitch, where a lawnmower is the lower pitch, but they're still very loud. So their decibel level is quite loud. Dog barking is around 50 decibels. Fireworks, which we're all going to experience this weekend in some fashion, many, because of the COVID virus, many cities and counties and areas are now having public displays. But this is probably an even more important discussion, because many people are probably going to do some fireworks close to their house. And that means you are going to be closer to that loud sound. So we have to talk about how to protect your hearing and how to protect children's, teens, everybody's hearing, whether they have a hearing aid or not, and we'll talk a little bit about that. OSHA, the Occupational Safety and Health Act, which occurred back in the 1980s, really gave a standard for what people should be exposed to, what levels of decibels people should be exposed to in the workplace. So the standard is such that an employee can be exposed to 90 decibels of sound for an 8-hour period, and that won't harm their hearing. They should have hearing protection, but you could be in 90 decibels for 8 hours and you could be okay. However, every time the decibel goes up 5 steps, that means the employee can only be exposed to that sound half the amount of time. So if it goes up to 95, your exposure is 4 hours. If it goes up to 100, your exposure is 2 hours. And you get the idea. So you go up just a little bit and your exposure goes down, unless you wear hearing protection. As I mentioned earlier, fireworks close can be 150 decibels. It's quite loud, even louder than an airplane. And if we're going to do firework, we all remember as a child, a firework went off close to us and our ears were ringing. That's a sign that it was damaged. Now, if you wear hearing aids, the newer technology as such is that it can compress that sound a little bit, or you have a volume control. So I always tell patients, if they're going to be around fireworks, try to be far away as they can, because you can still see them visually. Lower the volume control on your hearing aid, or don't wear your hearing aids at all and wear some hearing protection. It's the same question that I get from people that have hearing aids and that like to hunt. I recommend really not to wear your hearing aids during hunting, because a gun can be 125, 130, and that's a high impact noise level. Now, I know hunters like to hear the rustling of leaves and things of that sort, but really your hearing is most important, so we have to protect it. But again, the newer hearing aids really can suppress a lot of the noise, but your hearing is most important to us, and so that's what we've got to protect, particularly for people that have a hearing loss, because your system is compromised already. Those hair cells are damaged, and we want to protect them. Teenage children, for instance, and younger children are even more susceptible to hearing loss from loud noises. So you have got your grandkiddos in the area or your children, really pull them back. They still can enjoy the visual aspect of it, but we don't want them close to that. So again, if you wear hearing aids, best not to wear them if you're close to the fireworks. If you are going to be close, wear some hearing protection. And I just had a question for somebody that said, if I have ringing in my ears, is that considered a hearing loss? That is a really good question. Ringing in your ears typically is a sign that something's going wrong with your hearing. Many of you may remember we would go to a concert and you'd come out of that concert and your hearing was almost dampened a little bit and you had ringing in your ears. Well, I hear this from patients all the time. That may be the first reason why they come into my office. Say, Rick, I've got ringing in my ears. What do I do? And so we'll immediately do a hearing test, and odds are they have a high frequency hearing loss. Those hair cells in there get damaged and send false impulses up to the brain. So we got to be careful. But ringing is a very important sign to come in and get it tested. And what we want you to do, if you have symptoms like that, if you have questions like the things that we're going over today, call our office at 843-979-3888. That's 843-979-3888. And we can sit down and have a consult and talk to you a little bit. Another area that's really a popular question, that we wanted to discuss, is now that we're in summertime, humidity levels are extremely high, particularly in the South. Hearing aid manufacturers have gotten very good at making hearing aids that they're not so susceptible to moisture. Now, if you walk into the ocean and you have salt water, that's going to zap on a hearing aid. We have hearing aids now, however, that my patients, because they're so small, they'll forget to take them off and go in the shower. The good news is, more often than not, that doesn't destroy the hearing aid. There's a way to protect your hearing aid in high humid environments, and it's a little dehumidifier that at the end of the day, you open up the battery door, put the hearing aids in the little dehumidifier, and that draws any moisture out. Has a little silica gel in there. It draws that moisture out and makes the hearing aid stay functional. If you really panic, you don't have something like that at home, sometimes if you go in the shower and you have the hearing aids on, take them out. Be careful, I don't want you to slip and fall. Take the battery out, pat down the hearing aid, and actually stick it in some rice for about a day. A lot of times rice can draw that moisture off, but then immediately take it to your audiologist and have them take a peek at it or let us see, and we can make sure that it's fine. All manufacturers, if it does get zapped because of moisture, they take care of it as long as it's under warranty. But those are important things that we look at when patients come in to see it. So that was a real good question earlier too on the tinnitus. So again, there's 4 issues that we wanted to go over today. Using your hearing aids with loud sounds. When do sounds become dangerous? Again, normal conversations around 50 decibels. You start doing your lawnmower, and if you're going to do your lawnmower for more than a couple hours, it's time to wear hearing protections. Always err on protecting your hearing, and then you'll never go wrong. We talked a little bit about decibels and what that means, and really it's a measurement of loudness and the loudness of the pitch. And then finally, how do we protect our hearing aids with moisture? We have a lot of great things here at Coastal Hearing Center, and a lot of great programs, but one of the things that I'm proudest of is the way we're here to help our patients and educate. So if I need to go over something today that you would like to hear, keep an eye out for our weekly FaceTime discussions, or give our office a call, 843-979-3888. We're in Pawleys Island at 245 Business Center Drive. You can give us a holler. We can talk to you. I'll consult with you and give you any guidance that you might need. So, folks, have a wonderful 4th of July. I know some of the areas are not going to do their fireworks, but do enjoy your time. With your family and your friends. Be safe. Be careful out there, and we'll see you next week. Either myself or Rihanna, another professional in the office, might be talking to you on our little FaceTime programs here. So we look forward to seeing you in a week. Again, happy 4th of July. Bye-bye now.